This robot can run, it can jump, it can dance, it can fall over and get itself back up again. And this one starts at just $4,900 US. That is roughly the price of a very cheap second-hand car in Australia. Except this isn't a car, it's a humanoid robot. And you don't need to be a university or billion-dollar tech company to order one. You can literally go onto Unitree's website, find the robot and buy it. Now, obviously, once you include shipping, tax, and everything else, you're not actually landing one in Australia for $4,900 US, but that's not really the interesting part. The interesting part is that something which looked like science fiction only a few years ago is suddenly being sold at something approaching consumer electronics pricing. So how did we get here? How did China make humanoid robot this cheap? And perhaps the more important question is this practically useful? I'm Tom. I spent my time investigating Chinese manufacturing, technology and supply chains and what they could mean for consumers and businesses. And Unitree is a particularly interesting company because this isn't just another story about China producing a cheaper version of an existing product. It's really a story about what happens when an extremely expensive technology starts becoming cheap enough for thousands of people to experiment with. And to understand why that matters, we actually need to start with a robot dog. About 10 years ago, Unitree didn't exist. There wasn't a giant robot factory. There wasn't a huge multinational company. It was basically a university student called Wang Xingxing. During his master's degree, Wang started building a four-legged robot called XDog. Now, robot dogs themselves weren't a new idea. Researchers overseas had already demonstrated some extremely impressive quadruped robots. Boston Dynamics, for example, had been making robots that could walk across difficult terrain for years. But there was one rather large problem. They were incredibly expensive and complicated machines. Wang approached the problem slightly differently. Instead of asking, how do I build the most advanced robot possible, he became very interested in another question. How cheaply can I build a good one? For XDog, he used the relatively low-cost brushless motors, and instead of simply buying expensive complete systems from other companies, he worked on things like the motor drive boards, control software, mechanical structure, and control architecture himself. And that mattered, because one of the biggest problems in robotics isn't making one impressive prototype, it's making a lot of them at a reasonable price. In 2016, videos of XDog began attracting attention online. Wang was working in Xingxing at the time. He quit his job, moved to Hangzhou, and founded the company that would become Unitree. Then in 2017, Unitree released its first commercial quadruped robot, Laikago, named after Laika, the dog sent into space. And from this point on, you can see a pattern emerging. Every few years, the robots got better. But crucially, they also got cheaper. And this is where I think people sometimes misunderstand robot videos, because when we see one online, we naturally look at what the robot is doing. Can it jump? Can it kick? Can it dance? Can it do a backflip? And yes, all of that is technically impressive, but commercially, there may be something much more important happening underneath: the cost of the joints. Think about your own body. Your shoulder moves, your elbow moves, your wrist moves, your hip moves, your knee moves, your ankle moves. A humanoid robot needs mechanical system to recreate all of these movements, and that means motors, controllers, bearings, gearboxes or reducers, sensors, wiring, and then you need to repeat these components over and over again across the entire robot. So imagine one sophisticated robotic joint costs several $1,000s. Once you've installed 20 or 30 of them, you've already built a very expensive machine. But now imagine that instead of reducing the cost of the finished robot, you reduce the cost of every component inside it. Motors get cheaper, motor controllers get cheaper, batteries get cheaper, circuit boards get cheaper, machining gets cheaper, sensors get cheaper, assembly gets cheaper, and suddenly the cost of the whole machine begins falling very quickly. And this is where China's manufacturing ecosystem becomes particularly important. Because a humanoid robot isn't really one technology, it's dozens of industries stacked on top of each other. Electric motors, battery cells, CNC machines, aluminium bearings, circuit boards, cameras, sensors, plastic molding, AI processors. And China already has enormous industries making almost every one of these things. This is the same reason we've seen Chinese companies become extremely competitive in products like drones, electric vehicles, solar panels, batteries, and consumer electronics. It doesn't necessarily mean every individual technology was invented in China. In fact, much of the early research behind modern robotics come from overseas, from universities and research programs outside China. The interesting part is what happens after the research exists. How quickly can you manufacture it? How quickly can you redesign it? How many suppliers can you find? How quickly can you make version 2, version 3, version 4? And most importantly, how much can you reduce the price? And that is a different kind of innovation. Not necessarily we invented something the world has never seen before, but China did it, as we turned something that used to exist mainly in a laboratory into a product. Unitree became particularly good at that. The company says it developed important components internally, including motors, reducers, and controllers, and as production increased, the price kept coming down. Then Unitree took exactly that philosophy and moved from 4 legs to 2. In 2024, Unitree introduced the G1 humanoid robot. It stands around 1.3 meters tall, it can walk, stand up after falling, moves its arms, and performs some surprisingly athletic movements. And the standard version is currently listed as around $13,500. That's still a lot of money, but remember what we are buying here: a walking humanoid robot. Then Unitree went even further. The newer R1 Air currently starts from just $4,900. It's approximately 1.23 meters tall, weighs around 27 kilograms and has 20 powered joints. Move up through the R1 range and you can get more joints and more capability. And this is the number that really caught my attention. Not how high it can jump, not whether it can do Kung Fu. $4,900. Because once technology reaches a certain price, the type of person who can experiment with it completely changes. A university can buy one, a small robotics company can buy one, a software developer can buy one, a startup company can buy several. Someone with a ridiculous idea can buy one and try the ridiculous idea. Most of those ideas probably won't work, but some will, which creates more software, more experiments, more demand, more production, and eventually even lower the prices even more. We've seen this cycle before. But there's one rather large problem with everything I've just said. If these robots are already becoming this cheap, why aren't they everywhere? Why isn't a humanoid robot stacking shelves at Woolies? Why isn't one uploading trucks at a warehouse? Why isn't one cleaning my house? And why aren't Australians' businesses ordering thousands of them? Because watching a robot do this, and getting a robot to do useful work are not the same thing. And this, I think, is probably the most important part of the entire robotics story right now. We're becoming quite good at building the body. The brain is much harder. Imagine working in a warehouse. This box is slightly different from the previous box. Someone has left a pallet in the wrong position, the floor is wet, a trolley suddenly moves in front of you, a person asks you to do something you haven't done before. For a human, most of these problems are almost trivial. You look at the situation, you understand what's happening, you're adept. For a robot, that's extremely difficult. A robot performing a rehearsed dance routine can repeat a sequence of movements. A genuinely useful general-purpose robot needs to look at a completely new environment, understand it, make a decision, perform the task, and then respond when something unexpected happens. And it has to do that safely, again and again and again, for hours. And that's a completely different problem. Interestingly, Unitree's own founder isn't pretending this problem has already been solved. This week, Wang Xingxing said robotics may be approaching what he called a ChatGPT moment. What he means is a point where you could give a robot a relatively simple instruction and the robot could understand a new environment and work out how to complete the task. Basically, instead of programming every movement, you tell it what you want. Something like, take those boxes and put them on that shelf. And the robot figures out everything in between. That would completely change the industry. But Wang's own prediction for when that breakthrough might happen? Somewhere between 2 to 10 years, which is a quite large range. And I actually like that answer, because despite all the crazy robot videos online, the hypes, the companies building them know there's still an enormous difference between a robot that looks impressive and a robot that earns money. And that's the real race now. And this is where the story gets even crazier, because just this week, Unitree went public in Shanghai. Its shares surged more than 5-fold on their first day of trading. By the end of its debut, the market was valuing Unitree at roughly 50 billion US dollars. Just think about what investors are actually betting on here. They're obviously not valuing the company based purely on the number of robot dogs people want in their living rooms today. They're betting that these machines could eventually become an entirely new category of technology. Factories, warehouses, inspections, logistics, security, construction, retail, and eventually, possibly at home. That doesn't mean the valuation is justified. There is an enormous hype around humanoid robots right now, and there's still a big commercial question hanging over the entire industry. What job can these robots actually do better and cheaper than a human? Because until someone can answer that question constantly, the backflips don't really matter. So why should Australia care? You might reasonably be thinking, well, it's interesting, but why should I care if China can build a cheap robot? Well, Australia is actually exactly the type of economy where this technology could eventually become interesting. We have high labor costs, we have enormous distances, we have warehouses, mines, farms, construction sites, infrastructure that needs inspection and maintenance. And we have many jobs that are repetitive, physically difficult, or difficult to find enough people to do. If your robot costs several $100,000, then even if it can replace some repetitive work, that maths don't work out. But what happens if the hardware costs $50,000, $20,000, $10,000, and eventually $5,000? Suddenly the maths starts changing. And longer term, one particularly interesting Australian application could be aged care. Not replacing the carers, but helping with lifting, mobility, and repetitive physical tasks as our population gets older. That is obviously not something I can trust a $5,000 robot to do today, but what about 5 or 10 years from now? It might be possible. And that's why I think the most important question about Unitree isn't the dancing, it isn't the kung fu, it isn't the IPO, it's the price. 10 years ago, the question was, can we build a robot that moves like this? Then it became, can we manufacture one reliably? Now we're beginning to ask, what happens when almost anyone can afford one? And I don't think humanoid robots are ready to replace human workers tomorrow, not even close. You probably shouldn't cancel your cleaner, and I definitely wouldn't expect a robot to assemble your IKEA wardrobe this weekend, but the direction is becoming difficult to ignore. The hardware is improving, the cost is falling, production is increasing, and AI is slowly becoming capable of giving these machines something closer to a brain. If that final part works, then the strange robots doing backflips on YouTube today might eventually look a little bit more like the earliest personal computers. Remember, at first, it was just an expensive toy. Interesting demonstrations, mostly useful to researchers and enthusiasts, and then they got cheaper. Software got cheaper. More people started experimenting with them, and eventually they stopped being just toys. That is the part of the Unitree story I think is worth watching, because China hasn't solved the humanoid robot yet, but it may already be solving one of the biggest problems that stood in its way, which is making the body cheap enough for everyone else to figure out what to do with it. I'm Tom, and I'll see you in the next one.